on that finish, disappointing way to finish that last quarter.
Yeah, well, I mean, really clearly there was a domination in the last quarter, but a really strong 3 quarters, and both teams pretty evenly matched for 3 quarters. But to their credit, in the end, they really did step up when they needed to most, and pretty convincing winners by the end. But the scoreboard probably doesn't do us justice as much as it should in the end. But when you get really cleaned up what we did in that last quarter, that's what you're going to get in a game of footy today.
Do you think you should have been further in front?
No, I don't know about we should have been or could have been. They took their chances. We missed a few opportunities, I suppose. There's no doubt about that. But no, it's a pretty tough game of football, and you miss some, you get some, and I don't look at it that way too often.
Did you run out of puff at all? Did you feel like they were actually exhausted from all the work they'd done?
Looked like it in the last quarter a little bit, but we didn't. It's not so much run. That's what happens when you get dominated, I think, by the ball. I think they had plus 80 or something in the last quarter of possessions, which is a lot. I mean, that can make anyone look, like you're exhausted, I suppose. And no doubt by the end, as you are in every game, every team, both teams would have been pretty exhausted, but we looked a lot worse than them by the end.
Were you comfortable with the fact that there were so many categories when you looked at the stat sheet, you were losing here, there and everywhere, but you were still okay on the scoreboard? Were you sort of comfortable with having it that way, or did you want to rectify it?
Yeah, clearly not. No. Clearly not. We're not happy that the numbers are going against us too badly, but the numbers weren't disgraceful in any way for 3 quarters. They were reasonably close, but by the last quarter, if you look at them now, they look pretty poor. But I think overall the last quarter really heavily swayed them one way.
Trango again battled his heart out against Mumford, probably similar to most of last year. You must be wrapped having someone like that in the side when you have to call on him like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice not to have to call on him in that spot. Unfortunately, we had to again today, and Mumford was a pretty important player for them. So, their clearance work and their in-tight work was probably just a bit better than us. And Jacko, as you said, tries his heart out every time he goes in there, but he's just a little undersized against a bloke like Mummy.
What did you make of Pittard? Thought he was pretty influential at the half-back for you guys.
Yeah, no, he's good first game back. I mean, we have, Jasper's a pretty fair player, and he looked okay in the first half of the game as well. He's still a little unclean at times. I don't think there's any doubt that he'll be better for the run, but so it's good to have him back in the side.
Cameron is almost everywhere. Was it a dilemma how to deal with their 3 tools?
Yeah. Well, a little bit. I mean, we knew we had some challenges coming into the game, and that was going to be about being able to put some pressure on around the ball as best we possibly could. Cameron got some of the ball up the ground, which doesn't hurt you as much. Obviously, Patton kick 6, and he's pretty damaging by the end. He got some free kicks, which were hard for us to control, but they had a couple of good forwards that hit the scoreboard big, and that was probably the difference.
Two smothers in the first half, got your goals, and must be wrapped with that defensive side of the way the guys are going this year.
Yeah, look, I think we're playing pretty strongly for most parts of games. We've had even our last 2 games have been against everyone would say are the 2 best teams in the competition, and we've been able to push them, challenge them, not be able to beat them. So there's a lot to learn still for us and a lot to get better at. When both those better teams have beaten us badly in contested ball, and we need to make sure that doesn't happen.
Looking forward a little bit on that, is contested ball sort of straight off the top of your head that's something that needs to be cleaned up straight away?
Well, you can't win big games if you're that far. You can lose contested ball by a little bit, but you can't get belted up in it. And we've, last 2 weeks we've been beaten badly in that stat, and the first 2 weeks we were really strong in that stat. So it just gives it's clear evidence to us that you need to be somewhere close to at least even in that stat to play the football you need to.
Do you like the fact that Friday night again there's another big occasion game because it's the big stage?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that? Or
yeah, of course.
Actually tire you sometimes?
Nah,
3 big ones in a row. You
love the opportunity to go back to Adelaide Oval, and when leading into Anzac Day and all those sorts of things that are really important for us. Is we hope we'll fill that up again, the ground, and put on a really strong performance, and this time come out in front. So we look forward to that opportunity. It's it's what AFL football is. It's every week, one after another, and you've got to be ready for it, and we'll be ready for it.
Are you worried that some of your younger players, that, without naming names, the ones that maybe look like they're not as sharp anymore as they started off really well?
What names are we?
Come on. Maybe Powell Pepper's not playing quite as well.
Yeah, he had a quieter game today. There's no doubt he had a bit of a quieter game.
Do you need to manage them? That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, no. Look, you're always mindful of that, and you've got to be careful. That's the part of the that we've got to balance right for him and other younger players, not just him. So you've got to make sure you don't mark him too harshly on one game and not too glowingly on another. So the challenge for Sam and other young players is to continually stand up and be consistent. You don't have to be best, but you don't have to. You've got to be away from poor.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.